Good news here, it's a conservative Republican area. I mean, we're going to want a senator that represents those values, and so I certainly hear a lot about that too.
What do you think are the pressing issues that you would like to address should you be fortunate enough to win?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, I mean, there are huge issues facing our state, and a lot of times I think the legislature tends to get overwhelmed by our system and the enormity of those issues and kind of tinkers around the edges. Now, tort reform is not an example of that. That was an example of really taking on a big issue and trying to address it in a comprehensive way. But I think we still have a lot of work to do in our core government functions, infrastructure, education. And I think one thing I've learned at the city is if you focus on core government functions, you can do them very well. I think the state, and certainly the federal level, tends to do 1,000 things poorly instead of 10 things very well. And I think that's why the city has such a great reputation for services. I'd like to bring that perspective. You know, I mean, like I said, there's some big issues, and one that it's not necessarily a campaign issue, it's not something people like to hear a lot about, but it's constitutional reform is probably the biggest issue of all, and I think it would make a big difference in our ability.
State constitution.
Yes, state constitutional reform. It's something that the Oklahoma Council of Public Affairs talks a lot about. There's a lot of good research on that, and I think it's an issue that people need to start talking about and taking on. So.
We don't have much time left. The U.S. Conference of Mayors is coming to Oklahoma City. I know you've been working on that kind of behind the scenes. Give the people an idea of what this event is. You've attended them, and you're kind of helping to kind of choreograph our event next year.
Sure. As you said, the U.S. Conference of Mayors is an organization of mayors of cities above, I think, 30,000. Is that right? And hundreds of members, and they all get together every year. And when you get a group like that together, you're going to attract people like the president, you're going to attract cabinet officials, you're going to attract other heads of state from other nations. And they meet every year, and in the last few years, they've gone to places like Los Angeles, Miami, Chicago, Las Vegas, and of course, they're coming to Oklahoma City next summer in June, which is shaping up to be a busy month for me. And June of 2010 is when they're going to come, and that's going to be a huge deal. And I describe it as the biggest political event that's ever occurred in the state of Oklahoma.
David Holt is his name. He's my chief of staff, and a great political career ahead of you. David, thanks for coming on The Verdict. We appreciate it. Good luck to you.
Yeah, come back again.
Oh, well, of course. Thank you, Ken.
Kent and I'll have a final word right after this.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
The Journal Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record. Since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
And for almost 30 years, Oklahoma political, government, and business leaders have turned to the McCarville Report for accurate, reliable, inside information. Visit the McCarville Report online.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Meyers. We've been visiting today with David Holt, a young man who grew up in Oklahoma City but has already had an array of life experiences, including working for the Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert, and the President of the United States, then back in Oklahoma for the Lieutenant Governor, and now working for me in the Mayor's office.
Well, it was certainly enlightening for me. He has had an unbelievable breadth of experience for so few years in being involved. I thought was interesting as well, is how he, who is kind of a person behind the scenes at your office, interacts with you and Jim Couch, the people who are kind of out front to the public. And I don't know that our viewers, or I for that matter, have had exposure to him much before. It's interesting to see what he does and how he does it within your office.
Yeah, you know, I don't know when David Holt will think he has enough to write a book, but a guy that was in the Capitol on the day of 9/11, a guy that you know, was in the White House for some significant legislative, time working for President Bush, and came back and ran the president's re-election campaign in 2004, and then has been, at this point, at 30 years of age, he has worked at the municipal level, the state level, and the federal level, and now wants to be a candidate himself.
Yes, he's now offered up his services to the residents of District 30. In the Senate race that will be upcoming this next general election. It'll be interesting to see how he progresses in that endeavor.
There is website information on David Holt's campaign. You can check it out. The web address is votedavidholt.com. And I also want to give the web address for our show, because if you have an idea for a show or someone you'd like to see interviewed on The Verdict, all you need to do is go to the website and send us an email about that person and perhaps how to get a hold of them if that's necessary. But that web address is theverdict.tv. Coming up next week, we'll have Dr. Mary Ann Bowman back. She comes back about annually to talk about the Women's Health Forum, but as always, a wealth of information. We look forward to her visit. Again, that's next week right here on The Verdict. For Kent Meyers, I'm Mick Cornett. We'll see you next week on that show.
The preceding program was produced exclusively for the Cox Channel.